Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. Welcome if you're new here. My name's Sarah. I make videos every single week here on YouTube talking about my acne journey and how I managed to clear my skin from this to this. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then please hit the subscribe button because I'd love to see you here each week. As I said, I make videos every single week and I upload every single Sunday. So today's video is really just to answer some questions I've been getting over on Instagram and also in the comments here. And it's about how I managed to get prescribed Accutane, because this is essentially quite a controversial drug. It has actually been banned in some countries previously. And also it's such a harsh drug that it's really not something you can just go on lightly. You really need to do kind of your research and have a good chat with your dermatologist before going onto it, because it really isn't for everyone and it's considered kind of like the last resort for acne. But with that being said, I'm going to get into my story about how I managed to actually get prescribed the drug and kind of the experiences that I went through before actually getting the prescription in my hand. So I've been going back and forth to my GP since I was probably about 14 or 15 to get prescribed different things to help me with my acne, and it was never that severe. So I used to have kind of an oily T-zone like your standard kind of 13, 14-year-olds, and I get a few kind of spots and breakouts, predominantly on my forehead, but also kind of on the sides of my chin and maybe a little bit on my nose and kind of around the sides of my nose too. But in terms of my cheeks, nothing was bad there. So when it got to, I think I was 26, and I decided to come off the pill because my GP had prescribed me that when I was 16, and I decided to come off it finally because I didn't think it was really agreeing with my body, and I just kind of wanted to make sure I could have, you know, a normal cycle, a normal period, and just make sure everything was working really. But unfortunately, this did not go to plan, and actually when I came off the pill, I broke out like crazy. So I went straight back to my GP, explained that I didn't really want to be on the pill anymore and wondered what else I could do. So he essentially prescribed me some antibiotics and some topical benzoyl peroxide and kind of sent me on my way really. He said that he would refer me to a dermatologist, but at this point, you know, he really wanted to make sure that, you know, it wasn't just something that could be healed through a little bit of time after coming off the pill and also through antibiotics. So yeah, nothing really changed, I'll be honest. I didn't actually take the antibiotics because I'd taken them when I was about 15 and knew they didn't work. And I was so convinced that this was hormonal because obviously stopping the pill, a couple of months later, my skin going absolutely crazy. There was just too much coincidence there. I already knew that my acne was hormonal anyway. I'd done enough research on acne to know that. So yeah, I went on my way, tried to heal it naturally, which did not work. I was doing all the wrong things, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, that's a story for another time. I actually decided to go high carb, low fat vegan for some of that time, which was an absolute disaster. Didn't work for my skin at all, but I'll link that video down below so you can check out my story there. So essentially, yes, he kind of referred me to a dermatologist, but really wanted me to come back in a few months' time just to see if the antibiotics had worked as well. So I went back in a few months, explained that I didn't really want to take them, that it wasn't making me very happy to be taking antibiotics, and I didn't think of it as a permanent solution. And I didn't like the topical either. It was really drying me out. Benzoyl peroxide just doesn't agree with my skin. So when I first met the dermatologist, it was so long after I'd been to see the GP that my skin had actually started to heal up, because I eventually decided to go back on the pill just to give myself a bit of a respite, if you like, and then bide some time so that I could work out a game plan on how to come off the pill successfully, to make sure that I got a period back and to make sure that my skin wouldn't break out like it had done the first time. But meeting with the dermatologist, she wasn't very convinced that I needed Accutane. She thought it was the scarring that was the real problem, and I also agreed. So the actual active spots that I had at this point, there weren't too many of them. I'd managed to, you know, clear them up through the pill. So that was my first point of call with the dermatologist, and she wasn't agreeing that I needed to go on Accutane at this point. So I'll be honest, I was kind of disappointed really, because I actually wanted to go on Accutane so that during that time I could wean myself off the pill and just get going with it really, so that I wouldn't be stuck with, you know, hormonal acne when I came off the pill. But anyway, I did what she said. I took the antibiotics. I took some, I think it was like a zinc solution. I'm not exactly sure what it was. I'll link it down below. And I did this for 6 months and just kind of went back to her to say this wasn't working either, and I was still continuously breaking out, not severely like I was when I came off the pill, but it was enough that it was really bothering my confidence. So I think this is really the key here. If acne is something that just doesn't really bother you, you have it and you get on with it and it just doesn't make any difference on kind of your self-esteem, which personally I find it hard to believe anybody that could just say they don't care at all. But obviously there are people out there that can handle these things a lot better than others. And I have to say I was one of those people that really did not take this too well. And actually I probably prevented my skin from getting better just simply because I was so upset about it all the time. So anyway, my next dermatologist appointment, weirdly enough, my derm didn't realise I was on the pill still, because the pills that I've been taking were actually from a prescription from the GP, not the dermatologist. So when she realized that my skin had cleared up through using the pill, she really wasn't happy about that either, and completely agreed with me that if there is a hormonal problem, it's far better to come off the pill and deal with that separately rather than masking it, which was not the reaction I was expecting from her, and I really appreciated that. So she then decided to prescribe me Accutane. So I was super happy. You know, I've been thinking about this for kind of on and off for maybe like 2 years by this point. And I was really ready to take the drug and just kind of get over this whole acne experience once and for all. So the sort of things that you have to do before your dermatologist can prescribe you Accutane is to make sure that you make it really clear that you've tried all other things, because at this point I tried multiple different antibiotics, I'd been on the pill, I'd come off the pill, that didn't work. I also talked about things like my scarring, because actually I wasn't able to really heal my scarring very quickly if I was still actively breaking out. And most importantly, I talked about the actual repercussions of acne on my self-esteem, because it was actually taking over my life. And I think that is really the key here. If your acne is bothering you so much that it's stopping you from really enjoying the things that you love in life, then you need to let your dermatologist know, because it's so important that they understand how much it means to you to get rid of your acne. And if Accutane is the last resort, then so be it. It isn't for everyone, I understand, but if it's something that you've had a long think about and you're really ready to go on, then definitely explain this. It definitely should be a two-way conversation. I don't think it's down to your dermatologist to completely decide on your behalf. So yeah, once I got the green light, the next things that I had to do were to think about contraception. So, you know, if you're a guy, this really isn't for you, but in terms of all you ladies out there, you're gonna be asked about contraception, and particularly in the UK, you need to be on 2 forms of contraception before they will actually prescribe you the drug. So the 2 contraceptives that I used, one again was the pill, I was still on that. However, I was weaning off of it. So I didn't really talk to my dermatologist much about this, but because I was taking the pill from like day 1, say, she noted that down as a form of contraception. And gradually I weaned myself off the pill. So again, story for another time. I've made a separate video about this, so I will link that down below on how I came off the pill successfully whilst I was on Accutane. So the pill was number 1. The second form of contraception that I decided to go with was the copper IUD. So this has no hormones, and that's exactly what I wanted, and that's still what I have today. It is a really good way to use contraception safely, but making sure that you're not putting artificial hormones in your body, which are never great for acne. Even if they are good while you're on them, lots of them, once you stop, just aggravate the situation like the pill did for me. So yeah, if you're wondering what contraception can I use without actually having to take the pill or the patch or whatever it is that's involving fake hormones, then look into the copper IUD, because I would really recommend it. So yeah, once I'd had that put in, I then had to wait an entire month to go for a pregnancy test and have a negative pregnancy test so that I could see my dermatologist and get the ball rolling. So once that had happened, I was then able to get my first prescription, which was at a low dose of 25 milligrams for a month. So after that first month is when I got to go for my first blood test, just to make sure that the drug wasn't doing anything crazy to my liver. And yeah, there we go. I kind of went onto the drug. I was on 25 milligrams for the first month, like I said, and 50 milligrams thereafter. My total course length was 6 months, and they did this based on my weight, which some of you may know, some of you may not. But when you get prescribed Accutane, they kind of make an accumulative dosage based on how much you weigh. At the time, I weighed about 52 kilograms. So I guess they kind of measure 1 milligram per 1 kilogram of weight, essentially. So if you are thinking about going on Accutane, then I really urge you to go and watch one of my other videos, which is 10 things I wish I'd known before I started, because there's loads of little things in there that I just never thought about before taking the drug and that I wish I'd known before I started. And if you're currently on Accutane or you've just started, then I really urge you to go and watch another video I made, which is my ultimate guide to surviving Accutane. So yeah, go and check that video out after this one. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. So I hope that answered anybody's questions about how I managed to get prescribed the drug. I realise it's a completely different situation in lots of different countries, even just with different GPs and doctors, it can be vastly different. So yeah, just sharing kind of how I went about it and what worked for me. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I also love catching up with you guys over on Instagram, so if you haven't already, please go and follow me over there. I love catching up with you all. And that's all from me this week, guys. Thank you so much for watching this one. Really hope you found it helpful. Please give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful, or a thumbs down if you didn't enjoy it at all. I'd love to hear your feedback either way. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. Please hit the subscribe button so I can see you here next week. And that's all from me this week. See you later, guys.